Hi, everybody. This is Steve Dudarian from Mass Golf, and today we're here with Cheryl McGuire, the Executive Director of Golf Fights Cancer. For those of you who don't know, Golf Fights Cancer is one of the many allied organizations working alongside Mass Golf. They have brought a tremendous amount of awareness to those battling cancer and have been leaders in inspiring and empowering golfers, including many who play or have played on the highest stage, to make a difference in fighting cancer. With that introduction, Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be here, and thanks to the Mass Golf family for having us.
So let's start from the beginning. Can you explain the origin of Golf Fights Cancer? As I understand, there's actually some Massachusetts roots to it.
Oh, for sure. So we were founded in 2004 by two friends, Brian Oates and Jay Monahan, who were both working in the golf industry at the time. Brian was with the Bank of America Championship, and Jay was here in Golf House as the championship director of the Deutsche Bank Championship. And they had just attended a funeral of a colleague who had passed too young with 3 small kids, and felt that there was something that could be done to harness the generosity of the greater golf community. And in that, Golf Fights Cancer was found, and they ran the Boston Marathon, raising $40,000 that year.
Yeah, excellent. So that's one of the many ways of fundraising, but there's a whole bunch of different events that Golf Fights Cancer does. Can you take me through some of those events and fundraisers and how you guys are able to raise money and support some of these folks?
Oh, yes. So I would break it down by thinking of 3 separate areas of our events and how they've evolved through the years. One being how we started Boston Marathon, and that is when we are given entries to run as charitable runners and crowdfund for the Boston Marathon, which is traditionally held every April. And so that is really where we got our start. And then the second one would be our golf marathon. And that day, again, it's crowdfunding with golfers of all skill levels and ages, playing 100 holes in one day while getting sponsored. And then the third one is our traditional golf outings, and these fundraisers we have up here in New England and down, actually across the country, predominantly New England and the Northeast Florida region in Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra. And those are your day of golf without having to pay necessarily a fee or any auctions or buying mulligans. It's just you write a check at the end of the day, and that collectively has an impact. So between these 3 annual categories of events, we're able to raise this year $1.5 million.
Yeah, that's excellent. So it's not just golfers getting involved. It's sort of a larger community of people associated around golf, from what it sounds like.
Absolutely. What's, between the logo and the idea, it sounds like it is focused and that you have to be a golfer.
Right.
But that's not the case here. Cancer touches so many of us. It's hard to find a person today that hasn't been impacted by cancer. And so whether it's a golfer who wants to honor or memorialize a loved one, or just an extended friend, family, or colleague, our community has grown beyond just the golf community. Someone came to us, this is one of my favorite parts of our organization, is when you sit down and talk to someone who doesn't know specifically what they want to do. They want to get involved, and they want to do it either for their own empowering opportunity or to honor somebody else. And when you are dealing with a diagnosis, it's the first and foremost thing on your mind, but you might not talk about it. It's avoided in the beginning. You're nervous about bringing it up if you might get emotional. And so it gets backburnered a lot. And what we do is we give individuals an opportunity to talk about it in a positive light and to make them empowered into feeling like they're doing something. And then in turn, they're allowed to reach out to their greater community and say, hey, this is happening to me, but I'm asking for your support in getting behind me, because I'm going to run 26 miles, or I'm going to play 100 holes of golf, or I'm going to organize a golf tournament. And so that is one of the most beautiful sides.
And what's it like for you when you finally get to meet these people who are kind of stepping up and supporting the organization. What's your biggest kind of takeaway from them?
Oh, so that they absolutely give me personally perspective on life. We all get so busy. We think that our schedules and how frantic it is to get through a day. I have the opportunity to be reminded on a regular basis how lucky I am for my relationship with our Gulf Fights Cancer family, but also my own personal scenario. So I really like to talk to people about their experience and say, okay, tell me what was good. Where were you treated? Who was there for you? Like, what services? Did someone step up with financial relief, or was there a special nurse? And then find a way to link it, if it was a good experience or an experience that needed improvement, how we can turn around and make a grant towards that cause. And so that's an exploratory type of conversation, and those are very rewarding.
Mm-hmm. So as you said, so many people are affected by cancer or know somebody who has dealt with it or has battled it. So I'm your average golfer. How would I go about being able to sort of sponsor somebody or bring someone forward who I think might seek help from your organization?
So if we're still a small enough family that if someone wanted to reach out to me personally when it comes to a real special story, like someone who's personally impacted, I'm here to talk about that. But another way is to get people involved. I would suggest starting with the golf marathon. It is one of the most beautiful days on the golf course, different than what your average golf outing might be, because you get about 40 people together who all have a special story, and they drop their guards, and they age and range from young kids to retirees. But over the course of the day of playing 100 holes from sun up to sundown, you'll find these relationships and connections develop that have them coming back year over year and bringing new friends with them. But what we do is provide an opportunity for these crowdfunders to designate their money, and that conversation of figuring out where it might go to honor or memorialize a loved one.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of major names who have gotten involved with the organization too. I know one was Gary Player, who just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, very well-known golfer. And he has a personal connection, from what I understand, with cancer as well. Can you just talk a little bit about some of those major people who are helping out, sort of spreading the word of what you guys do?
Yeah, it's always so honoring to hear about folks that hear our story and want to get behind it. So this past November, Gary celebrated his 85th birthday, and the social media God that he is decided he would record a video and ask people, his followers, to give $8.50 in honor of his birthday to Gulf Fights Cancer. And his wife is currently battling. He didn't focus too much on that, but said this is something that's very important. We all know that health is one of his priorities. And so in that day, we had, or the weekend, let's say, 46.4 million media impressions from his video being reshared. And then he also asked folks to make a recording of themselves asking their communities to support the cause. So just to give you an idea, Steve, we launched a new website last July in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and 40% of our impressions came in that weekend, our visits, homepage visits. So he really did take us on a national front of donors and of people becoming aware that Gulf Fights Cancer is here and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. And with Jay Monahan, as you mentioned at the top, being involved, are there still sort of regular conversations with him, or just working with organizations like the PGA Tour to sort of, I don't know, maybe just get more people spreading the awareness to the organization?
Yep. So it has been a great honor watching watching Jay as he's transitioned into his current role and how he's handled it. But so my involvement with the PGA Tour really started with an event we do down there at TPC Sawgrass every year. And so Jay is very active in the planning of this, which We started in 2016, and that event was designed by a friend who had passed away. But before doing so, he wanted to figure out and work with us on a legacy. And Jay, being very close friends with him, suggested we start planning this. And so while Pete Fox was here, we designed this collegiate golf fundraiser. So down at Sawgrass every year, the University of Florida men's golf team will come and we do a junior pro-am format, raising funds that we then partner with one of our charities called Team Impact. Anyway, the goal is to teach young rising stars in that collegiate golf level about how rewarding philanthropy is now, and not have them wait until they're in their middle of their career to try to find a charity that they can align behind. It doesn't have to be cancer, but it just that we all have a passion. So this has taken off in such an exciting way that we're reaching out to more collegiate golf programs across the country and having them get involved in the Team Impact program as well. So whether it's Oklahoma State or Auburn or Northwestern, where it's just a beautiful opportunity to share how exciting philanthropy can be.
No, that's great. And the nationwide impact and getting young people involved is what any organization would say. You want to get young people involved. So to hear that's, very promising. I'm curious too, with all these different fundraisers and stuff like that, could you just explain, are these campaigns that sort of go on? Do you guys issue grants? Can you just explain a little bit about how these different monies that are fundraising are distributed?
And this is one of the most important parts, is saying how the collective generosity can make a bigger impact in the world. And so our donors trust us to seek out and find really great causes to get behind. So if a donor was to have $100 to give, do they mail that directly into their local hospital's cancer center or whatever? Or do they want to add it and have it become a $100,000 grant that we can designate and buy a special piece of equipment for a linear accelerator that you wouldn't even know that the machine didn't have at the time? So we will find these different causes, and they range from financial relief, which is so important today. And that would be like the Joanne Druzzi Foundation or Family Reach or the J Fund, to summer camp programs like Hole in the Wall Gang. Some of my other favorites are positions and finding patient navigators and the unbelievable powers of a child life specialist. And like I said, equipment that the hospital or a lab couldn't have otherwise afforded, like a 3D printer that prints just different types of medication and speeds up the time by 2-week period, or a specialized microscope. So I have the joy of finding these tremendous causes and then reporting back to our donors about how their money made a difference in the lives of these programs, whether it's research or pediatric playrooms.
No, that's fantastic. And just to sort of tie a bow on this thing, as you mentioned, COVID-19's obviously affected us all. Was there anything that you weren't able to do in 2020, and anything you're looking forward to maybe taking another step forward or taking a step, where you were before coming into this year as we start this year?
Good question. Is unbelievably, we were blessed and we are up 15% from where we were this time last year. And I think that was because we continued to plan like it was going to happen and not just throw in the towel early. And we all know that golf took off as a very socially distant sport. And many of our golfing supporters were playing a lot more rounds and thinking a whole lot more about golf. So that really skyrocketed our golf marathon and proceeds. So I'm pretty excited to share that not only did we have a record year for fundraising, but for the first time ever, we gave away $1 million in grants this year. And so that's a big milestone at a time when a lot of these charities felt a lot more of an impact from the COVID-19 virus.
And it says it right on your website, golf is such a charitable sport, and hearing stories like that, $1 million in grant, I think just sort of proves that. So that's fantastic to hear. And just for the folks who haven't gotten involved and maybe haven't heard of the organization until this interview, what would you say is maybe the first step of getting involved? What's like the immediate way they could say, hey, I want to help with this. I want to push forward. What's the first thing you would propose that individual would do?
June 4th, Friday, June 4th, we're having our annual golf marathon at Juniper Hills. We have 36 holes and we spread out. And it's just a matter of, if you have a passion for golf, it doesn't matter what level you're at or what age you're at. I mean, my son started doing this when he was 6 years old, and to date, he's raised $62,000. And so level, age, what's important is that you have a passion for the game and a willingness to reach out to your community to fundraise and to feel really good about what you're able to accomplish.
Great. And where can people go to find out more about Golf Fights Cancer?
Our website is golffightscancer.org. And a link will be there to register for the June 4th event.
Excellent. Well, Cheryl, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Golf Fights Cancer. And certainly, as we all hope, as many strides we maybe made in 2019, 2020, we're all hoping the future looks even brighter than before. So thank you for taking the time, and best of luck to everything going forward.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for helping us tell our story.